Imagine moving into your first college dorm, ready to start a new chapter of your life. You think you're just adjusting to a new environment, but something feels off. Your roommate, someone you've barely met, begins acting strangely. The odd behaviors start small, but soon you realize they're not just quirks. There's something darker. What if the person you're living with isn't who they seem to be? What if you're sharing a room with someone hiding a terrifying secret? It was my first year at the University of Iowa, and I had just finished unpacking my belongings in my dorm room. It had been a long day of saying goodbyes and settling in, but I was excited for this new chapter in my life. The moment I got everything in place, my family left, and I was left to navigate the next few days alone. Later that same day, my roommate finally arrived. He was the first one I'd met at college who felt different. Right from the start, I knew he was socially awkward. An understatement, really. I introduced myself as Dan, sticking out my hand for a handshake. He paused, stared at my hand for a second, and then laughed nervously. "Oh," he said, shaking my hand, which felt like a wet fish. I half smiled, unsure of what to make of him. "Dale," he said, almost as an afterthought. I tried to make small talk, asking him about his day or what he was into, but every question was met with short answers. Yes or no or an awkward, offbeat laugh. I quickly realized he wasn't interested in any kind of real conversation. Minutes passed, and we both ended up on our respective beds, eyes glued to our laptops. There was a strange tension in the room, like two people stuck in an awkward silence. I sighed inwardly, wondering if it was too late to request a new roommate. Days passed, and I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just shy. But as time went on, it became clear that Dale was far more than socially inept. It was my first weekend on campus. I met some of the other students on my floor, and they seemed pretty cool, which was a relief. After spending the day exploring the campus and meeting a few more people, I returned to the dorm. The moment I walked in, I found Dale sitting exactly where I left him, on his bed, in the same position, doing nothing. "Hey, what's up, Dale?" I asked casually, but he didn't respond. His eyes didn't even flicker. I figured he was too engrossed in whatever was on his laptop, but it felt off. I shook it off and turned out the light on my side of the room, deciding to get some rest. But sleep didn't come easy. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Around 3 a.m., I was still awake, tossing and turning in bed, when I noticed the faint glow of moonlight creeping through the window. My heart stopped when I saw the silhouette of Dale, sitting on the edge of his bed, just staring at me. I sat up quickly, rubbing my eyes in disbelief. "Dale, what the hell are you doing?" He didn't respond right away. "Sorry," he whispered, before lying back down as if nothing had happened. I lay there, stunned, the hair on the back of my neck standing up. What was going on with him? Was he sleepwalking? But no, he seemed fully awake. The next morning, I found that Dale had already left the room. It was a Saturday, the first of the semester, and I had orientation to attend. During the tour, as we passed through the campus gardens, I heard a couple of students laughing and talking ahead of me. They were pointing at something. "What is that kid doing over there?" one of them asked. I turned and saw them pointing at a figure sitting in the dirt behind a cluster of bushes, rubbing the bark of a tree with his hands. The students laughed nervously, unsure whether to mock him or pity him. I recognized the figure immediately. "That's my roommate," I said to them, trying to explain it away. "Dale." The two students looked at each other and apologized. I didn't know whether to laugh or to be creeped out, but I tried to laugh it off. That evening I returned to the dorm, feeling unsettled. I couldn't shake the image of Dale crouched behind those bushes, hands pressed against the tree bark, as if he were listening to it. I told myself I was overthinking it, but something about the way he moved, so methodical and distant, left a chill in my bones. Later that night, when I returned to the dorm, I noticed something different about the room. The lights were off, but Dale was sitting at my desk chair, facing the door. I had to do a double take. I asked, "What's up?" But he just said, "Nothing," in that eerily matter-of-fact way of his. I sat on my bed and opened my laptop, but something was off. I noticed that I hadn't locked it when I left. I hesitated, then opened my inbox, and there it was. All my emails had been opened. I was sure I hadn't read some of them. The strange folders I kept on my desktop were also opened. I confronted Dale, asking if he had been on my laptop. He responded immediately with a loud, "No!" almost too quickly. I could see right through his lie, but I didn't know how to handle it. It was getting late, and I didn't want to escalate things. That night, as I got into bed and looked for my pajamas, something felt wrong. My clothes had been moved around. I knew I wouldn't be staying in this room any longer. I was going to request a new roommate, first thing tomorrow. Later, that night I was woken by the sound of a zipper. I sat up, and there was Dale on the floor next to my bag, rummaging through it. I turned on the lamp. "What the hell, Dale?" I asked, my voice shaking with disbelief. He looked up at me with that vacant stare, his expression unreadable. "I think you have my toothbrush by mistake," he said, as if that made any sense. The next morning, I packed my bags and went to the dorm office. I was transferred to a new room, and for a while things seemed to settle. But that night, it was only just beginning. The noises started again, a strange clicking sound coming from the other side of the door. I got up and checked, expecting to find something mundane, like a floorboard creaking under pressure. But when I peered through the peephole, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A figure was standing on the other side of the door, their head lowered, their body completely still. The clicking was coming from the doorknob, as though they were trying to unlock it. Panicking, I dialed campus police. They arrived in under 5 minutes. When I opened the door, they immediately apprehended the person standing there. It was Dale. He had been trying to break into my new room. I never saw him again after that night. I don't know what happened to him, but the officers mentioned something about a mental evaluation. I was just glad he was gone. But even though he disappeared from my life, the eerie memories still haunt me. The way he stared at me when he thought I wasn't watching. The way he would sit in the dark. It lingers in the back of my mind, creeping up on me when I least expect it. And it doesn't stop there. After everything I've been through, there's still that one question that keeps me awake at night. What was really going on with Dale?